The pigs are an invasive species that were brought here in the late 80s. Federal officials estimate they're responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars in damage to crops each year.
Thousands of dollars worth of crops vanish overnight under the relentless hooves of wild boars, turning once fertile fields into chaotic wastelands. What makes these animals so destructive and difficult to control? Imagine a silent invasion where entire herds uproot irrigation systems and trample farmland, causing a crisis for farmers struggling to protect their livelihoods. Yet, while traditional methods have failed, a powerful combination of technology and behavioral science is changing the game. Advanced steel traps, remotely controlled and strategically placed, aim to catch entire wild boar herds at once. But can these methods succeed before the damage becomes irreversible? The growing wild boar threat. Across vast agricultural landscapes, wild boars are increasingly becoming a force farmers must reckon with. These animals don't just wander through fields, they destroy them. Entire sections of farmland end up uprooted, irrigation lines shredded, and crops lost to the relentless digging and foraging habits of wild boar herds. In Texas alone, where this problem has escalated dramatically, damage from these animals can cost farmers tens of thousands of dollars in a single night. The problem has evolved from a rare nuisance in remote areas to a widespread crisis affecting thousands of acres. What makes the wild boar issue especially alarming is the speed and scale of their expansion. The population in affected regions has grown rapidly, with herds moving in large groups called sounders that range from 10 to more than 30 individuals. Their numbers are so large in some places that wild boars now account for a significant portion of all feral pig populations nationwide. This rapid spread has led to wild boars occupying a variety of habitats, including farmland, forests, and even areas near human settlements. As they expand, they leave behind destroyed fields and disrupted ecosystems, shaking the fragile balance farmers depend on. Farmers are not just dealing with property loss. The wild boars are also altering the very soil beneath their feet. The animals' rooting behavior, which involves pawing through soil to find food, chaotically turns over the earth. This disturbs the structure of soil and damages irrigation systems meant to support crops, often leaving land unfit for planting for long periods. It is a relentless cycle. Each night, wild boar herds return to the same patches, worsening the damage without pause. This destruction threatens not only individual farms, but local food supplies and rural economies as a whole. The urgency of the problem lies not only in what these animals destroy, but also in their adaptability. Wild boars are expert survivors, capable of thriving in diverse landscapes and conditions, adapting their habits to avoid human intervention. Their intelligence and keen senses make them elusive targets, and even aggressive control attempts can fail or lead to unintended consequences. People have witnessed boars learning to avoid common traps or altering their routes, which complicates efforts to protect farmland effectively. This resilience makes the wild boar threat unpredictable and persistent. The rising wild boar populations create an urgent requirement for solutions to be implemented. The destruction will continue to spread across more farms, which will result in severe financial losses until effective control measures are established. The immense power of these creatures prevents farmers from using their previous successful small-scale methods. The agricultural land needs more powerful prevention and control methods because current methods must develop better solutions for fighting the ongoing agricultural destruction. The problem exists because there is no established approach that can effectively combat this powerful enemy. The presence of wild boars creates two types of hazards, which include the physical destruction they bring and their additional dangers to communities. Their presence disrupts local wildlife populations and destroys natural habitats because they chase away native species and create ecosystem problems. Invasive species create challenges for conservation efforts, which increases the difficulty level of environmental protection work carried out by agricultural specialists. Farmers and scientists are increasingly worried about how to manage these impacts because they want to avoid causing further environmental damage. The public only becomes aware of destruction after it has already taken place. Farmers wake to fields that show evidence of a machine that operated during the night and left behind cracked earth and destroyed vegetation. The silent invasion of wild boar occurs through established patterns that help researchers to study their natural behavior. The existing patterns provide researchers with details that need to be understood before they can solve the existing problem. The existing challenge requires scientists to transform their acquired knowledge into methods that will either halt or decrease environmental destruction. The pathway forward involves more than just brute force or chance encounters with the animals. The process needs to establish an equilibrium between conservation practices and control methods, together with short-term requirements and extended planning processes. Experts state that permanent solutions to the wild boar problem must be developed through scientific research, because temporary solutions will not solve the issue. The process of wild boar control extends beyond current operations because researchers continue to discover new information about wild boar management, which will determine protection methods for agricultural areas. The initial stage of solution discovery occurs through understanding the complete power and intensity of this emerging risk, which needs solutions that exceed standard methods. The conflict between farmers and wild boars is not simply a battle of numbers. It's a complex interaction of behavior, environment, and technology. The current attempts to control wild boar populations have developed into an important story that connects scientific research with strategic protection methods for essential agricultural industries. As the damage spreads across fields and farms, it's clear that managing wild boars demands more than reactive measures. The next step is to understand what drives their behavior and how that insight can be used to design more effective control systems. Wild boar, behavior, and intelligence. Wild boars are far more than mere pests. They are intelligent, social animals with sharp instincts and complex behaviors that make controlling them especially difficult. They live in groups called sounders, usually consisting of sows and their piglets, while mature males often live separately, except during mating seasons. Within these herds, certain individuals act as sentinels, constantly scanning the environment for danger before the group advances. This social structure ensures that the animals move cautiously and avoid threats, including traps or human interference. Wild boars possess strong abilities to detect odors, visual stimuli, and auditory cues. The entire herd will change its path or run away because of the slightest alterations that happen in its environment. Their ability to detect sounds at extremely low levels enables them to escape from traps, hunting activities, and unpredictable disturbances, which make simple control methods fail. The animals develop a skill to identify new things while they become careful about anything that might endanger them. The wild boars use their nighttime behavior to stay out of sight, which makes it difficult to track them. The damage that occurs during the night remains invisible until morning, when all the destruction becomes apparent. The animals use this nocturnal foraging method to return to the same feeding locations, which results in increasing damage over time. Control methods require understanding how animals choose their paths for travel and their timing for eating. The way that animals search for food brings about major soil disturbances through their rooting behavior. The animals use their strong snouts to dig through soil while they search for roots, tubers, insects, and small animals. The behavior exists as an essential survival mechanism, which leads to farm destruction because people find it hard to stop. Population control measures need to proceed before people can successfully reduce the agricultural damage that results from this behavior. Wild boars demonstrate an exceptional ability to adapt to different situations. The animals succeed in multiple environments, which include dry slopes and forests, as well as cultivated fields and riverbanks. The animals possess the ability to locate water and food in hard-to-reach places, which makes it impossible to eliminate their established populations. The animals can eat various foods, which include grains and crops, as well as small animals and carrion. This ability to eat different foods allows them to reproduce successfully in new environments. The animals display caution when they encounter new environments or objects. Wild boars show initial surprise at new traps, but then tend to stay back, while they either watch from afar or send particular members to check things out. The animals will begin entering traps without fear after they spend time eating at the bait while feeling secure because no threat exists. The successful capturing of the animal requires both patience and knowledge about its natural tendencies. The first attempt to trap the animals will result in permanent loss of their presence in the area. The assessment of aggression needs to be evaluated as an additional element of the analysis. Wild boars become aggressive and dangerous when they feel threatened or cornered during their breeding season, which creates danger for farmers, hunters, and wildlife workers. The possibility of injuries to others increases when mature males exhibit charging behavior, which they do in response to provocation or territory defense. The capability of their actions to create unsafe conditions requires population management to proceed with extra safety precautions. Their high intelligence and social dynamics also mean that capturing only a few individuals often fails to reduce the overall impact. The remaining herd members develop increased wariness, so they leave the area, which makes future control attempts more difficult. Effective management requires strategies that address the entire group rather than isolated animals, emphasizing coordinated and well-timed tactics over scattershot attempts. With the behavioral challenges in mind, another dimension becomes clear. The public health risks these animals carry add urgency to controlling their spread and presence. Disease risks from wild boars. Wild boars create visible destruction, yet their concealed danger stems from the diseases they bring and spread. The animals act as disease carriers that transmit multiple hazardous pathogens that endanger both livestock and human beings, making their control efforts more difficult. The spread of African swine fever, foot and mouth disease, and multiple respiratory diseases creates a significant danger to domestic pig populations and their associated agricultural sectors. The protection of animal health requires wild boar population control as an essential measure. African swine fever stands out as one of the most catastrophic risks. This highly contagious virus leads to complete herd destruction among both domestic pigs and wild boars because no effective vaccine or treatment exists. The introduction of ASF to a farm site brings destruction, which results in extensive quarantines together with commercial trade limitations. Wild boars maintain the disease cycle by staying in the environment while they move between wild and domestic populations, which makes it hard to control the situation. Wild boars spread infectious diseases together with bacterial pathogens that include Salmonella and Escherichia coli, which lead to soil and water and feed contamination. The bacteria present a health danger to the public because they can infect both animals and humans, especially in farming communities. The boar feces and urine create indirect but continuous dangers because they contaminate pastures and feed. The process of bacterial transmission shows that humans need to create physical control systems that will prevent wild boar contact with livestock. The relationship between wild boars and domestic animals presents a dual challenge because parasitic infections affect both animal groups. Wild boars carry multiple parasites, which include ticks, mange mites, and internal worms that transmit diseases between wild animals and domestic animals. The parasites create a health danger because they cause secondary infections, which result in additional health problems that decrease herd productivity and raise veterinary care difficulties. The control of wild boar populations reduces the parasite reservoir, which protects the health of farm animals. Regions experience higher disease transmission risks because wild boars and domestic animals share their grazing areas and water sources. Farms located near forests or wild habitats are especially vulnerable to these crossings. The shared environment between wild boars and domestic animals creates infection hotspots, which make disease monitoring difficult because wild boars move freely and vaccination and treatment remain unavailable. Wild boar population control, together with their restricted access to farm areas, serves as the main approach for implementing preventative measures. The movement and behavior patterns of wild boar herds create a pathway through which diseases are identified and spread. Wild boars establish permanent infection reservoirs through their social behavior, which leads them to specific trails and feeding areas. The process produces ongoing disease transmission, which increases outbreak risk, while disease vector movement remains uncontrolled. The study of these patterns provides essential information that enables the development of more effective intervention methods. Human safety is also at stake. Wild boars become aggressive when people get too close to their mating season, which makes males more protective of their territory. People face two types of threats: physical danger from direct contact, and secondly, they might get infected through contaminated soil and water. The presence of wild boar populations in nearby areas increases community dangers because of this combined threat. Traffic collisions involving wild boars represent yet another hazard linked to their presence. Wild boars create dangerous situations during nighttime hours because they cross rural roads, which results in serious accidents that damage vehicles and endanger human lives. The incidents create financial burdens for rural areas, which already experience high stress levels, while they demonstrate how uncontrolled populations produce widespread negative effects. With disease implications clear, the shortcomings of traditional wild boar control methods become even more significant, calling for innovative strategies tailored to this complex problem. Traditional control methods limitations. For years, farmers and wildlife managers have relied on common methods like hunting, small traps, and occasional fencing to combat wild boar damage. While these tactics may catch a few individuals here and there, they often fall short when facing entire herds that move quickly and strategically through the landscape. Sporadic hunting can momentarily reduce numbers, but rarely addresses the root of the problem. As soon as a few animals are removed, others fill the gap, making these efforts largely temporary and insufficient. The straightforward implementation of small traps fails to control the massive power that adult wild boars possess. The animals reach a weight of several hundred pounds, which enables them to destroy lightweight structures through their physical strength. Wild boars learn to escape traps because homemade and cheap traps do not withstand their pushing strength. The remaining herd will become cautious after the initial animals get caught, which makes future trapping efforts harder to perform. Regular fencing, another common method, fails to function unless built with strong materials. Wild boars have a habit of digging underneath or breaking through weak fencing. Their body structure enables them to destroy fences that lack the ability to handle continuous pressure. Fences that get damaged need expensive repairs, which do not provide any permanent solution. Landowners experience frustration because this process requires continuous resources, while it fails to decrease boar populations. Hunting proves difficult because wild boars in areas with heavy human presence show a strong preference for nighttime activity. The animals stay away from daylight because they become alert to hunters who come within their vicinity. Night vision hunting provides certain benefits that require special abilities and instruments that make it hard for people to use. Hunting methods only succeed in slaying single animals, which makes it hard for hunters to decrease the total population. The scheduling and execution of hunting and trapping operations make control efforts more difficult to manage. Wild boars travel in family groups that display intricate social relationships. The removal of a small number of animals results in altered behavior patterns that include changes to travel routes and increased wariness of herds. Their established habits will lead to future operational difficulties because understanding their patterns is essential for achieving successful results. Wild boars present a challenge because their adaptable and intelligent nature makes traditional control methods ineffective. Farmers need to handle damage because they lack preemptive methods to stop future incidents. The organization leads to spending and permanent issues, which create ongoing dissatisfaction for the users. The situation becomes dangerous for people because the programs require contact with hostile adult animals during critical times, like breeding season. Community-wide coordination is often lacking with conventional methods, which typically focus on individual properties. Wild boars do not recognize boundaries, traveling great distances and crossing farms easily. Local control methods fail because wild boar populations continue to grow undetected in surrounding areas. The lack of unified management leads to organizational problems that stop progress from happening. Conservationists state that control measures must achieve precise outcomes while protecting the entire ecosystem during their implementation. Poorly executed methods create new issues, which demonstrate the need for more intelligent operational tactics. Wild boar control needs systems that can handle their physical power while using their natural behavior patterns to create effective operational results. This leads to innovations in trap design and technology that offer new hope for managing this persistent threat. Design and technology of modern traps. Modern traps designed to manage wild boar populations take inspiration from both engineering and animal behavior science. Unlike rudimentary cages or fences, these sophisticated systems are built with reinforced materials such as 4-gauge steel, comparable to what might be used in heavy-duty construction. This makes the trap a solid fortress capable of withstanding the full force of adult boars, which can weigh up to 600 pounds or more. The strength of the structure is essential, as weaker materials quickly fail under pressure. A key design feature is the circular or wide arc shape these traps often have. This shape eliminates narrow corners where boars might brace themselves or dig to break through. Without fixed leverage points, the animals find it harder to panic or thrash violently inside the enclosure, reducing the chance of injury or escape. The open interior space encourages the entire herd to enter confidently, rather than feeling trapped or threatened too soon. The trapdoor is another critical component, often designed as a gravity drop gate, weighing around 70 kilograms and spanning 8 feet in width. The door must close instantaneously once triggered to prevent any chance of an animal slipping out. To increase control and safety, this mechanism is frequently connected to a remote control system that operators can activate from several kilometers away using mobile networks. This technology eliminates the need for someone to be physically present at risk of confrontation during the closure. Unique to these modern systems is the use of infrared cameras positioned inside and around the trap. These cameras provide real-time footage, enabling operators to monitor wild boar movements and determine the precise moment when the entire herd is inside before triggering the door. This live surveillance ensures that the trap captures the group at once, significantly reducing the chance of escapes or partial captures that would make future control more difficult. Strategic placement of traps is another crucial factor in their success. Experts carefully study wild boar travel routes, focusing on trail intersections, migration paths, and locations near water sources or regular feeding grounds. This knowledge, developed through days or weeks of observation with infrared cameras, guides where the trap is installed. Positioning a trap in a high-traffic area increases the likelihood that entire herds will enter the trap without suspicion. Baiting techniques complement trap design, involving the daily scattering of fermented corn and grains, sometimes up to 90 kilograms per day. This consistent food supply attracts wild boars gradually, encouraging them to approach and eventually enter the trap without feeling threatened. Maintaining this routine over several nights helps the animals lose their initial caution and establishes the trap site as a regular feeding area. The foundation of the trap is just as important as its visible structure. T-shaped steel posts are driven nearly 1 meter into the ground around the fence, anchoring the entire enclosure securely. This deep anchoring allows the trap to resist the brute strength of mature boars pushing or ramming the fence. Without such stability, wild boars could smash their way out, rendering the entire effort futile. The sophistication of trap design and monitoring sets the stage for the next critical aspect: how baiting and detailed herd observation enable operators to lure and capture entire groups successfully. Strategic baiting and herd monitoring. Capturing an entire wild boar herd requires more than just a sturdy trap. It involves understanding their behavior and careful preparation. A key step in this process is strategic baiting. Operators place food, such as fermented corn and grains, near the trap, sometimes up to 90 kilograms a day, to build the boar's trust. Over consecutive nights, this regular feeding encourages the herd to visit consistently, transforming the trap site into a familiar, safe environment. The process of baiting requires time and requires patience to succeed, which helps to overcome the natural fear that boars have. At first, only a few boars showed interest in the trap, while the rest of the boars stayed back. The boars established their daily patterns when they began to enter the area because they perceived no danger. The trap should not be activated until the proper time because doing so will scare away the boars, which will make future capture efforts more difficult. The monitoring tools, which include infrared cameras, serve as essential equipment that enables researchers to track the herd's movement patterns. The cameras located along the trails and adjacent to the trap system work during the night to transmit real-time video stream content to operators located at a distance of several miles. The remote observation system allows researchers to determine the size of the herd and the patterns of their movements, which enables them to manage the animals effectively while reducing the chances of their escape. The study of boar movement patterns requires comprehensive research. The herds follow their established routes, which they use to reach their destination at specific times. The placement of bait by managers along these paths and at water points will create a natural animal funnel that leads to the trap. The schedule for baiting matches the schedule for trap activation. The operators create a situation that allows boars to investigate by keeping food available through an extended period while the trap door remains open. The trap uses a remote closing system that needs to confirm 10 to 30 boars are present before it shuts to capture all herd members. This method transitions management from reactive response to preventive measures, which show better results through acquired knowledge and patient execution. The operation achieves better efficiency through its design, which matches boar behavior while reducing dangers and anxiety for both staff members and animals. The process of baiting at regular intervals decreases the need for boars to enter agricultural areas, which helps control both captured animals and those that might cause damage. The success of these preparations becomes clear once the trap is finally triggered and the full extent of the herd's capture can be assessed. Successful trap, deployment, and results. Precision and timing are key when activating wild boar traps. Operators monitor live camera feeds, waiting until the entire herd, sometimes over 30 boars, is inside the enclosure. Only then do they remotely trigger the trap door, swiftly sealing the animals inside. This rapid closure prevents escapes and ensures the herd stays together, crucial due to their social nature. The efficiency of these traps reduces stress compared to traditional methods. There are no loud noises or prolonged chases, which minimizes injury risks. The boars are often unaware of the trap until containment is complete, making the process safer for both the animals and the handlers. The reinforced structure of the trap can withstand the strength of mature boars. Anchored firmly with deep steel posts, it resists repeated forceful attempts to escape, ensuring the trap remains intact. This durability is vital during high-stress situations. Large trap deployments have shown impressive results. In one operation, over 30 wild boars, weighing more than a ton, were captured at once, far exceeding older methods that captured only a few at a time. Capturing entire herds disrupts their movement patterns, preventing them from returning quickly. Farmers report significant relief, with crop and soil damage dramatically reduced after successful captures. Containing entire groups minimizes ongoing destruction and protects both the current season and long-term land health. Additionally, these traps help curb the spread of diseases like African swine fever. Isolating large groups lowers the risk of outbreaks by reducing contact between feral and domestic animals. This is essential for public and livestock health in affected regions. After capture, teams inspect and maintain the trap, ensuring its stability and animal welfare. These careful steps ensure the continued success of future operations. In the long term, these operations contribute to sustainable wild boar management, balancing population control with ecological concerns and fostering coexistence between farming and wildlife. With these achievements in mind, attention turns to how integrating trapping efforts into holistic management networks shapes the future of wildlife and agricultural harmony. Toward sustainable wildlife management. Managing wild boars requires more than just trapping. It demands a strategic, integrated approach that balances human needs with ecological realities. In farming communities, efforts are focusing on guiding wild boar movements using control networks. These networks place traps at critical transition points where boars slow down, reducing pressure on farmland and residential areas. The coordinated plan uses suspended traps with one-way gates and remotely controlled corral traps to direct herd movement while protecting against damage. The multi-layered system enables boar population control without requiring active tracking or direct encounters with the animals. The method focuses on establishing protective measures rather than responding to emergencies. The wildlife managers permit boars to adjust to control structures, which leads to decreased stress levels and higher capture success rates. Data-driven monitoring provides information about herd size and composition and movement patterns to support decision-making. Community involvement is essential for achieving success. Residents in specific locations work together to establish joint management systems, which enable them to combine their resources for safeguarding entire territories. The network gets strengthened through operational partnerships, which include matching baiting times and immediate action during peak wild boar movement periods, which lead to lasting shared existence between species. Technology enables humane animal control through the use of remote traps, live infrared cameras, and real-time alert systems. The new technologies protect people from danger while decreasing the stress levels in animals. Managers use advanced data analytics to understand how boar populations, environmental conditions, and animal behavior patterns evolve over time. Sustainable management seeks to maintain boar populations at tolerable levels, which enables farmers to grow crops while protecting natural ecosystems. The preferred method to handle this situation involves peaceful coexistence, which requires minimal environmental disturbance because total elimination of the problem is unachievable. Wild boars pose a serious threat to farms and ecosystems, but with cutting-edge traps and informed strategies, farmers are fighting back effectively. By combining technology, behavioral insight, and community cooperation, large herds can be managed humanely and sustainably. If you found this story insightful, please like and subscribe to explore more real-life solutions at the intersection of nature and agriculture.